Hi everyone, Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone's having a nice Wednesday afternoon. It is Wednesday, that means it's Crime Stoppers Day. And we have the pleasure of having Captain John Vik with the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office in the building today. I think it's been like at least a month since we've had LSO come in on Crime Stoppers with the holidays or whatever.
We've been busy.
Yeah, and you guys have been busy.
I appreciate what your meteorology team has done with the weather here recently. So kudos to you guys.
I said we could have probably done the show outside today. I'm looking out the window. That's the nice part about the streaming studio versus the weather center, is I have a window I can look out of here, and I can see the beautiful day.
Well, I will hope next time that you can work out the rooftop studio with the lawn chairs, but we'll see.
That would be nice. That would be very, very nice. I will say, I just got to say this caveat because it's still winter. Winter's not done yet.
Let's see what the groundhog says.
Temporarily is being held at bay, but we will see what Punxsutawney Phil and Billy, Unadilla Billy, I think it is
yes, it went from Bill to Billy, I believe.
Correct. But thank you, Captain Vik, for jumping on the show with us today. Again, we always like to have all the law enforcement agencies come in, and when we have the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office come in, we like to talk about a segment that you guys have called the Lancaster Lookout, where we kind of go through some of the most, well, not necessarily most wanted, but top 10 most wanted individuals in Lancaster County, again, that you guys need help looking for. Again, it works in conjunction with Crime Stoppers. If you go to the Crime Stoppers website, you'll find a link for the Lancaster Lookout. And so it's been a pretty successful new program.
It's kind of gone through some evolutions over the years, but we've tried to reinvigorate it a little bit, and it is a part of the LincolnCrimeStoppers.com website, and it has its own standalone website now at just LancasterLookout.com. So if people are interested, want to check out that top 10 list, go to LancasterLookout.com, and you can also link back to Crime Stoppers from there. So either place will get you either place.
There you go. And so the individual we're talking about today is this individual who, again, if you go to the website, he's listed on there. This is John Cronin. Can you kind of take us through what we know about John, why he's on this list, and why we need help looking for him?
Yeah, so Mr. Cronin, 55 years old, but he's got a pretty long history of theft, burglary, drug possession, trespassing issues in Lincoln, Lancaster County area all the way back to 1982. And the most recent incident was on August 14th. There was a business owner that saw Mr. Cronin underneath a vehicle in the parking lot there, and he was holding a Milwaukee Sawzall. And for those of us in law enforcement, we usually associate that with probably somebody stealing a catalytic converter. Mm-hmm. And so they called the police department, and when they called, Mr. Cronin fled, but he was located hiding behind some bushes in the area. And when they contacted him, he was found with some saw blades, some suspected methamphetamine in his backpack, and the Sawzall was located a short distance away. So in law enforcement, we call those things clues, and those all pointed to the fact that he was probably the person that was underneath that vehicle. So he was arrested at the time for possession of controlled substance, possession of burglar's tools, and also got some citations for trespassing and obstructing a peace officer. He ended up posting bond, about $1,500 in bond, and was released from jail in mid-September, and was supposed to show up for court just before Thanksgiving, but he didn't do that. He failed to appear, and we've been looking for him ever since, so that we can bring him back to court so he can face the charges that stemmed from that theft event. And his whereabouts at this point are currently unknown.
So he may be in Lancaster County, he may be in an entirely different jurisdiction altogether.
Yeah, and he eluded capture by police on at least one other occasion, so we've got reason to think that he's probably still in the local area, but we just don't know where, and we could really use some help from the public. If you've got tips on Mr. Cronin's whereabouts, we don't want you to try and arrest him by yourself. We'd rather you call us. We're happy to follow up on those tips, and you can do that by calling Crime Stoppers 402-475-3600. You can go to LincolnCrimeStoppers.com, or you can go to LancasterLookout.com, and we'll get you in touch with our Metro Area Fugitive Task Force. That's a group that's made up of area law enforcement officers from the Sheriff's Office, Police Department, various other law enforcement partners in the local area, and they do nothing but go out and try to find people on arrest warrants and other dangerous criminals in the Lincoln, Lancaster County area.
And again, it could be something I saw him at the drive-through at this place at this time, and you guys will run it down because he may not still be there at that time, but he may have showed up on security camera footage, and then you can kind of try and track him. So again, even if it's a small sort of innocuous type of thing, you guys still want to know about that.
Absolutely. And sometimes people get locked into that loop of thinking, well, somebody else probably reported this information. Somebody else probably saw this. I don't need to do anything. The problem is, if everybody in Lincoln and Lancaster County thought that, we'd never hear from anybody.
Yeah.
And so we would love to talk to you, even if it is information that we already know. I just want to encourage people. You're not wasting our time by giving us a call, sending us a tip. This is what we do. We're here to act on these tips and try to get these people scooped up and off the streets. So we would love to get a tip on Mr. Cronin and get him back in front of the courts so that he can deal with his charges.
Or anyone else who might be on this list right here, which is, again, the Lancaster Lookout website. Again, you have 10 individuals listed on here. Again, Mr. Cronin being one of them. Some of them we've talked about before, whether it was Deputy Houchin and I or you and I.
Yeah.
So there's people on this list, but this list changes. Again, I always say to Jared Maneri when he's in here, Crime Stoppers, the website's just interesting to look at, kind of figure out what's going on in the community. This also is an interesting place to visit.
Absolutely, and it will be different from time to time. Sometimes people get arrested. Sometimes someone might bump someone on the list. If we've got a new warrant that comes down and somebody that we need to find for whatever reason and put some emphasis on that case. So LancasterLookout.com, LincolnCrimeStoppers.com. Check that list, and we'd be happy to take your tips.
And so the other thing we wanted to talk about today was kind of an update with the update might be a bad word, but just a situation with the Tyler Goodrich missing Lincoln man case.
Yep.
Can you kind of walk us through kind of what the new information is or the new development is in that case?
Yeah, and so the good segue for this is that it's Crime Stoppers related. We've gotten a number of Crime Stoppers complaints on Tyler Goodrich's case. It is still an active missing persons case that our office is working on. Investigators are following up on tips. They're rechecking their work. We're doing anything that we can, all with the goal of trying to find Tyler. I mentioned at our media briefing this morning, we're continuing to work with family and friends, and the family also still includes his husband Marshall, by the way. And so we're still keeping lines of communication open with all of those people so that we can ultimately find Tyler. One of the things that came out of that recently was a social media post about an anonymous letter that we received via Crime Stoppers just before the new year. It was around the holidays, and we would like to get in touch with the author of that letter. A lot of tips come into Crime Stoppers on the website, on the P3 app, sometimes on the phone. This tip happened to come in via just a paper letter. One of the nice things about Crime Stoppers is if you send us a tip via the website, even if you call on the phone, we have some mechanisms where if we need to ask some clarifying information, verify some information, get some maybe additional details that might help us, we can have a dialogue but still protect your anonymity and keep the fact that you're providing this information confidential. That's part of the beauty of the Crime Stoppers program. Unfortunately, with a paper letter,
can't do that.
We can't always do that because we either they may not have put any return address on there. Maybe they wanted to stay anonymous for a reason. Sometimes even if people are submitting tips on the Crime Stoppers website, they may not check that app. If we send a message back to them, they send a tip and they kind of forget about it, they might not check it. And so we just want to get some word out. If you are the person that wrote this letter to us, if you know the person that wrote this letter to us, we'd just like to get in touch with you. I don't know that letter in and of itself is going to move us any closer to finding Tyler, but we take every tip seriously, and this is just one that we'd like to get in touch with the person to ask some additional questions.
And so the significance of this letter to the investigation, again, like you just said, you just want to get in touch with the author at this point.
Yep.
Ask a few follow-up questions. Maybe they do know something that they don't even realize.
Yes.
So just to kind of talk to them that way.
Yes.
And, again, you're stressing that this person can remain anonymous as well.
Yes, they can. And whether it's this case or any other case, again, that's why Crime Stoppers works, because they work very hard to protect the identity of people who want to remain anonymous.
Mm-hmm. Is it anything that at this time you can share what was in the letter?
I'm not going to discuss the contents of the tips, and we don't do those with any tips. Again, that's to protect the integrity of the Crime Stoppers program. It's to protect the integrity of the case in Tyler's missing person case. We don't know at this point whether this was an accident, whether this was something that was criminal related. It's too soon to say. We still have to protect the integrity of our investigation, and there's just certain things that we still have to keep within the investigative record.
Totally understandable. You kind of mentioned it, but kind of where do we stand now? It's been 3 months, and like I know with missing persons, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of what's going on with the investigation? Is it just still kind of just hoping, searching, looking through tips?
Yeah, I mean we're obviously very concerned for Tyler's welfare. I mean it's been a significant amount of time since he was last seen and has last been heard from. All the way back on November 3rd is the last time that his whereabouts were known, and we, along with his family and friends, are extremely concerned for his welfare, and we continue to devote a lot of resources to trying to find him. Now that might look different. I know there's been some chatter on social media. Well, have they done this? Are they doing that? Why aren't we hearing any updates? I wish that I could come on your segment and talk with you about how we found something, how we're getting closer. But we haven't had any major developments in the case that have brought us any closer to locating Tyler. Really since we started, and it's frustrating for the family. It's frustrating for Tyler's friends. It's frustrating for us and our investigators. We would love nothing more than to be able to find him and bring whatever form of closure that we can to this case. But unfortunately, we just have not gotten the leads that we need to take the next step and move this forward.
And again, I don't know if you would qualify this letter as a lead, but how important would just something fresh, a new thing, something be in an investigation this?
It's extremely important, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the tips. Sometimes people think that that bystander effect steps in, that I have this information, but somebody surely already reported it, or I saw this, but I know other people saw it too, so I don't need to report it. I'd really encourage people to come forward if they have information about this. We don't want hearsay, we don't want things that you've heard third hand, but if you've got firsthand actionable information that we can take to further our investigation, we absolutely want you to contact us with that information.
And again, you kind of mentioned it, but things may have changed from where this investigation started because the amount of time. Is this something that you guys still have someone dedicated every day to continue working on, combing through these tips?
We still have an investigator that's assigned to this case. That's a primary investigator that's assigned. That's not to say that he doesn't do other stuff, but we're still working on this case, on a daily basis. Sometimes that work looks different. Sometimes there's more hours spent on this, that, or the other. But yeah, I mean, we're still continuing to work, reaching out with our other law enforcement partners, all the way from local partners here to the FBI, and we've been working back and forth to just leave no stone unturned. Again, with that ultimate goal of locating Tyler.
On a personal note for you and the investigators, I mean, you guys want to find something somewhere as much as Tyler's family. The emotional toll that it can take on you guys, can you kind of speak to that? And like I said, you guys want to find him just as much as anyone else.
We got into this line of work because making a difference to people is important to us, and being able to bring Tyler home, or at the very least bring some closure to his family and friends, is why we do what we do. And I know a lot of our investigators and a lot of our deputies have put in just a ton of hours and just a lot of like you said, emotional investment into this case. And I can't thank them enough for all the work that they've done, but they're going to continue to do until we locate Tyler. And I can speak for everybody at the sheriff's office that we're not going to stop until we can figure out what happened and find Tyler.
And again, I'm sure that probably can be echoed for all the other law enforcement that have been involved in this search as well. So again, this letter, looking to find the author. So if you know who wrote it, if you are the person who wrote it, again, the best way to reach out, probably right here on the screen. Again, crimestoppers.com, probably the number one place, or the P3 app there.
If they're willing to get in touch with us directly, give us a call. I mean, 441-6500 is our main number. But if you want to stay anonymous, call Crime Stoppers. The 402-475-3600. They're on the screen. LincolnCrimeStoppers.com. And there are ways that you can still remain anonymous, but dialogue with our investigators, again, to hopefully, in this case, help us find Tyler. But if you have any information about anyone that's on our most wanted list or any other crimes that happen in the Lincoln Lancaster County area, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Thank you, Captain Vik. Kind of a heavy segment today.
A little bit.
So hopefully, keep our fingers crossed again that we can get some good news on this, hopefully in the near future. So, anything else, whether it's about John Cronin and our most wanted individual, or one of our wanted individuals in Lancaster County, or the Tyler Goodrich case that you want to mention and get in there before we let everyone go.
I want to thank your viewers and all of the people that have been a part of watching these segments and being invested in better protecting your community. You really can't outsource public safety. I mean, we need people to be aware of their surroundings and contribute to our mission. Our mission is to keep Lancaster County a safe place to live, work, and play, and we can't do that without help from the public. And so I really want to thank everyone that's called in tips, given us online tips in the Tyler Goodrich case, but also on all of the other cases that we work. We can't do it all alone. We don't just work in a vacuum. It takes all of us to make this stuff work.
Yeah, it takes all of us to make Lincoln and Lancaster County a good place to be.
It does.
So thank you for all your work that you do. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, for coming in today. Appreciate it. I'll work on the rooftop set, so maybe next month.
Next time.
Or at least maybe in the summer.
We'll see what the groundhog says.
We'll see what the groundhog says. Captain Vik, thank you so much for jumping in and joining us today. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and for watching. As always, keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online, for all of your latest news, weather, and sports. And until next time, folks, we'll see you later.